welcome to another edition of VYPE Recruit Spotlight. I am your host, Whack, as they call me, and joined with me, as always, are Jackson and Will. Had a week off last week, just for a variety of reasons. I think we all had a little something going on, but we are back and we are better than ever. Before we get into the show, gotta, give my compatriots a chance to talk. Jackson, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Had an exciting week of recruitment this week. Got a lot of kids getting a lot of offers around the state of Texas, and it's been a good week for recruiting.
Will, how about you? How are things on your end?
Yeah, excited to be back. Like you said, big week in recruiting. We had quite a few players in the Super Bowl from Texas high school football, so that's always great to see.
Let's go ahead and talk about that. I always like to bring in a little bit of outside high school sports, if you will. And of course, the Super Bowl was this past Sunday with the Rams pulling it out in the fourth quarter, barely getting by the Cincinnati Bengals. Was this what y'all thought would happen? I personally thought the Rams were going to win it. I didn't think Burrow had the offensive line, which with that cap space they have this offseason, they better get an offensive line. They can afford it. Let's start with you, Will. Was this kind of how you thought the Super Bowl would go?
Yeah, I had a feeling this was going to be a very close game. Wasn't all that exciting a lot of the times from the sense that, there were just big plays every once in a while. It didn't seem like we had a lot of constant action. But when you get down to it, fourth quarter, any Super Bowl where it's right down to the wire, it's incredible.
Jackson, how about you? Was this the way you saw the Super Bowl going? Did you think the Rams were going to pull this one out from the jump?
Personally, I thought the Rams were going to win, but I wanted the Bengals to win. I was happy that both teams kind of haven't won a Super Bowl recently, and we got to see some new teams, new faces in there. But I will say, if Joe Burrow would have had at least 2 more seconds, there's pictures going around of Jamar Chase is streaking downfield with Jalen Ramsey on the ground. So it was a great game. Bengals definitely need to sign some offensive linemen in the offseason, but I thought it was a great game. It was great to see a close game in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I saw what you saw, Jackson, and you're right. If he had just about 2 more seconds, Jamar Chase is walking into the end zone because he got Ramsey good on that one, and Ramsey ends up falling, trying to catch up. And of course, Matthew Stafford from what ESPN calls small town Texas, Highland Park, which, as we know, just isn't true. It was funny when I heard that. I'm just like, that's not true at all. But I digress. It was a great Super Bowl, great halftime show, just all around. That Super Bowl was probably one of the better ones in quite some time. But let's jump into high school recruiting news. And we start off with our first of 3 segments, just talking about recruiting news across the state. Jackson, I'll turn it over to you. Go ahead and let us know what's been going on across the state that you know of.
So I think one of the biggest things is Parker Jenkins from Klein Forest, probably one of the most underrated running backs in the state. He's got track-like speed. He just picked up an offer from Arkansas, Houston, and Tennessee this week. His recruitment's starting to roll, as we also see Utah kind of making a present in Texas, especially the Houston area this past week, offering a couple kids. Also, as well, you have Reed McKeska at Bridgeland. He picked up Ole Miss, Utah, and I believe South Carolina today. So we're seeing recruitment blow up in Houston, especially with those kids.
And Will, I'll turn it over to you now. Who have you been hearing? What are some names you've been hearing in that recruiting news world?
Yeah, I've got a few big picture stories, and the first one is that in the top 20 recruits in 2023 for Texas, there are only 2 players committed right now, and somehow they're both from Denton Guyer. Jackson Arnold, who committed to OU a few weeks ago, and Peyton Bowen plays defensive back a few months ago to Notre Dame. So that's one thing. A lot of these guys are still on the board. A lot of them, people have no idea, no crystal balls or anything like that. Of course, we see the top guys like David Hicks and Reuben Owens, highly suspected to either stay in state or go to OU. But for the most part, this class is really, not locked in any commitments early on like we saw last year. And, with the visual business coming back, that may be a factor. It could be all the coaching changes, but not something we really see as we're getting into the later stage of February, and it'll be summer by the next time we know it. The second story I've got here is about Texas Tech. Texas Tech has 13 commitments. I believe all of them are since Joey McGuire took over, and all 13 of those are from Texas, and that's not that crazy, from the state of Texas. That's not that crazy because they've never recruited outside of the state very hard, and usually they just kind of get some guys whose best offering, maybe their only Power 5 offer is from Texas Tech. That's not the case here. They got Brendan Jordan last week from Mansfield. He plays safety. Isaiah Crawford from Post. Calvin Simpson-Hunt. Anquan Willis. I mean, this list is crazy. They've got their quarterback in Jake Strong out of Justin. So this is an incredible class that Texas Tech has. And when we talk about 18 of those top 20 recruits, I wouldn't be surprised if the Red Raiders got a couple of those.
Well, and it's funny, it's not a big surprise that all these recruits are from Texas. I think as Steve Sarkisian said, what a couple of weeks ago, he recruits Texas, right? He doesn't recruit the United States, if you will, for the most part. And I think Texas Tech definitely plays into that. Joe, you mentioned Joey McGuire. He was actually at, I think it was Lubbock Coronado hired their next head coach this morning, I believe, or yesterday, one of the 2 days, and he was actually at that. So Joey McGuire seems to be doing a very good job so far of ingraining himself in the Texas high school world. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't him, or maybe it was someone else that wore the Texas High School Coaches Association hat. So he's definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to the recruiting world, I feel like, and definitely a good hire for Texas Tech. But anything you want to add to that, Jackson, before we move on?
Yeah, I think you're starting to see Texas schools, especially schools like Texas Tech and Houston and UTSA, they're putting their footprint in Texas high school football right now. They're offering kids early. They're jumping on kids earlier. They're hiring staff that have worked in Texas high school programs. So you're starting to see more of a move from those programs to push and jump on these kids early. That way they can start getting them to their campus, start getting them involved with Texas Tech, UTSA, Houston, whatever program it is, early before the big guns like A&M and Texas and Baylor jump in there.
Yeah, very good stuff. Anything else, guys, before we move on to our interview of the week? Will, anything you got before we move on? Jackson, how about you?
Well, our interview this week, I mean, we've got Klein Forest head football coach, Coach Johnathan Wilson, played college football at Kansas, also played his high school football at Klein Forest, came back to Klein Forest to coach. He's doing great things there, and it's going to be a great interview.
All right, well, let's go ahead and turn it over to your interview with him right now.
Thanks, guys. I'm now joined by a special guest, Coach Johnathan Wilson from Klein Forest. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
So, Coach, we're excited to have you on the show. We're going to jump right into it here. You played at Klein Forest in the early 2000s, then played college ball at Kansas. Now you're back at Klein Forest as a coach. What has this journey been like for you getting back to your old stomping grounds?
It's been a dream come true. I mean, this is something that I've dreamed about since I was in high school, and it's actually came true. And now we're working our butt off to try to make Klein Forest relevant again and kind of bring it back to the glory days that we had back in the early 2000s. So our kids are buying in, and we're just trying to change the mindset right now of our kids, and it's working. They believe they can be successful, and they believe that they can win right now.
So, Coach, it's a really interesting story for you coming back to KF. You've got your family there. I saw you're about to join the Girls Dads Club. Congratulations on that.
Yes, sir.
What's the journey been like for you and your family?
Oh, it's been a journey. It's been a lot of unexpected things. I wasn't expecting to be a head coach this early in my career, and there was a lot of things that that happened, and then I wasn't prepared for. But once you throw into the fire, you kind of you learn on the go. And I was mentored by some great mentors like Jason Glenn, and he helped me kind of be prepared for this moment. But for my family, it's been an adjustment. My wife, she has to adjust to how much I'm up here all the time and just spending time and investing a lot of time into the kids. But she understands it now, and she understands the amount of work that goes into being an athletic director and head football coach.
Coach, you seem to be a very family-oriented person. It seems to also translate, bringing that family atmosphere to your team. My parents were actually both grads from Klein Forest back in the day. You've started to change that culture around there at Klein Forest, kind of bringing a college atmosphere to that culture. You've got graphics all over the place. You've got mannequins with the new jerseys and the new helmets. Even my little brother saw those new jerseys and new helmets and said, "I want to go to Klein Forest. I want to transfer." What has been the overarching theme for you and to install into these athletes with this culture change?
The biggest thing is I'm a younger coach, and I felt like if we're going to get kids to play football at Klein Forest right now, we have to get them to be interested in playing. So we felt like as a staff, like what's the quickest way to get them interested? And it's the things that they're interested in. They're interested in jerseys, gloves, helmets, graphics, videos. So we kind of had to get their attention in that aspect. And we did that. We got kids to come out, and now that we got them, we're teaching them football and we're teaching them things that they need to know to be successful. But that was the whole thing. That was like our recruiting pitch, sort of say like, hey, this is how we're going to get the kids here. And it's worked for us and it's paying off. But again, just like you said, I kind of followed the college model. I played college football and I followed a lot of college football teams. So I kind of just follow what they do, and I kind of try to implement it in high school and just try to promote our program, especially with the use of social media. I think social media is free promotion, in my opinion. I think everybody should use it to the best ability.
Coach, with making that culture change, y'all got your first district win, and I believe it was 4 years. You made a deal with the kids to let them shave your head. We saw it all over social media. What is something like that, getting that first district win? Y'all went, I believe you guys had a good non-district record as well, kind of struggled throughout the rest of the season. What does last year's season do for y'all going upon the next couple of years, kind of being that stepping stone into building back up this program?
Yeah. Last year's season gives us a sense of confidence. Like, hey, we can play in this district, we can compete, and we can win games. And I think that our kids actually saw that. And winning that game for our kids was a huge milestone because, we can beat some non-district opponents that we were better than, but can we compete in our district and actually win a football game? And now they believe it, and they're working hard and things like that. But that was all motivation. We were going through a slump. We kind of lost like 4 games in a row. And I was trying to figure out, how can I get these guys motivated to go out there and play their hardest? So, one day after practice, I said, hey, are y'all in the bets? And they were like, what are you talking about? And I said, well, I'll make a bet with y'all. And I told them, I said, we win this game, I'll shake my head. So they got all excited and started yelling and getting hype and stuff. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but they surely bought into it, man, and it was awesome. So, but again, it's just a stepping stone for us to use that as fuel to the fire and take it into next season.
Coach, you're obviously a younger coach. You've been to the next level, played a little little arena football. You've got some kids in your program like Brad Spence, defensive end, and Parker Jenkins, running back, who have seen a lot of D1 attention from some of the top programs in the nation. Parker Jenkins just got an offer from Tennessee. How have you mentored these athletes going through the recruiting process as you went through it not too long ago?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there's a couple of things that we have to tell them. One, don't get satisfied with that. With all the offers, don't let that get to your head. And I know that's not easy to do because you're getting a lot of attention. Everybody's telling you how good you are, and everybody's patting you on the back. Don't get satisfied. Stay hungry. Continue to put the work in. And then 2, we also let them know, like, hey, now that you got these accolades, every game you're going to have a target on your back. And that guy across from you is going to give you his best shot because he feels like, Harry, this kid has 20 offers. If I dominate him, I'm going to be seen, So I want them to understand the expectations that they're going to have every single time they step on the field. I mean, people are going to come after them. They're going to play 10 times harder against them because they want to be noticed, and I want them to understand that it comes with a lot of responsibility. Yes, being a highly recruited person is very fun and enjoyable, but you're going to get everybody's best shot. So be ready for it. And I think they're prepared, and it's been very exciting. We've had a lot of colleges come through during that recruiting period that the coaches could come through. So it's been very exciting.
So as a former player and as a message to kind of any high school athlete going through the recruiting process, not just at Klein Forest, but in general, what would be your message to these kids? I know you just said them kind of staying patient, staying humble, but as you have the ebb and flow of it, You might see some kids that might be one of the most athletic kids in their district, but just aren't getting the same amount of love as some other people. What would you tell those kids, just as a message of how this recruiting process goes?
Yeah, and I talk to a lot of different kids around the district, around the area, and they might just ask me, "Hey, coach, like, how y'all getting kids recruited, or what do I need to do?" And a lot of times I tell them, man, like you're saying, stay patient. Um, in the summertime, when there's opportunities to go to the camps that you can see yourself playing at. You know, if you're not getting recruited right now, don't go to Alabama. No disrespect to Alabama, but don't go to an Alabama when Alabama hasn't called or
Mm,
questioned about you or anything like that. Go to the schools that are recruiting you, that has been in contact with your coach, and go there and put your talents on the showcase, you know, and kind of narrow those camps down to 3 or 4 camps this summer. That's what we tell our guys, like, hey, we're the top 3 teams that are recruiting you. Okay. You need to go there this summer, perform, and get in front of the coaches, and then let's go from there. But that's what I would advise any kid, you know, stay patient, uh, take advantage of the opportunities. And the biggest thing is, man, take care of your grades. Cause, you know, if you get that opportunity and they say, hey, we want to offer you a full scholarship, you got to have the grades. Cause if you don't have the grades to get into the university, there's nothing they can do about getting you in, you know.
yes, sir. Coach, last question for you here. You have this special team that seems like next year is going to be able to make a little bit of noise in that district next year, as you see teams like Tomball lose a lot of senior talent and some of the Klein Kane as well. Y'all going to go into the district next year and hopefully make some noise. What is your goal for next season for this team?
Yeah, so our motto, what we've been saying this year is over the wall. And what I mean by the wall is right now, the wall is us not being able to make the playoffs. And we want to be able to make the playoffs, and the playoffs is on the other side of that wall. So we're battling every day and striving every day to get over that wall. And our goal this year is to make the playoffs, you know. So that's kind of our goal. And I haven't said anything less. I say it's either playoff or bust, you know, and that's kind of how I feel. I want them to understand, like, we're either going to do this or we're not going to do this. There's no in between. There's no gray area. There's either sink or swim. You know, we're in a very competitive district. It's not going to be easy. You know, every team's going to give us our best shot, and we're going to give every team, you know, our best shot. So again, that's our goal this year, is to definitely make the playoffs, and that'll be the first time we've made the playoffs in 10 years, and it's been a long time coming. So we know we have a lot at stake. We know we can make history if we can take care of our business.
Coach, last question I really have for you is with NIL kind of being such a big deal now in college football, you're a former college athlete. What do you think NIL has done maybe in the recruiting world, but also for college football?
Oh, it's definitely opened up a lot of opportunities for guys, you know, which obviously I'm player friendly. I want the best for the players, and I want them to get the things that they deserve, the money they deserve. So I think it's opened up a lot of opportunities for guys, and I think it's good. It's going to be very competitive for colleges now. You know, I think Nick Saban said it, where, you know, the rich are going to get richer because the big schools are going to have enough money to pay guys. You know, and the smaller schools are really not. But I think it'll all iron itself out. But I think it's great opportunities for guys to make some money and take care of themselves and things like that. So it's been interesting. I've been following it, and I've been talking to a lot of guys about it. So I look forward to continue to watch it and things like that. So yeah, you know, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Well, everyone, this is Coach Johnathan Wilson from Klein Forest. Great young coach who's got a heck of a program right now that is rebuilding. A couple of studs in Parker Jenkins and Brad Spence, and a couple other athletes that have been getting some D1 attention. I'm Jackson DePasquale. This is Coach Wilson. Thanks for doing this interview with us, Coach.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
All right. Once again, that was Coach Johnathan Wilson of Klein Forest. Jackson, before we move on to our Under the Radar spotlight segment, give us one big takeaway from this interview that you had with Coach Wilson.
One big takeaway I had was his ability to mentor these kids going through the recruiting process. Being a young coach who just went through it about 10 years ago, he understands the process. He understands coming from a school that hasn't necessarily been too great the past couple seasons, but getting those offers and coaching them through, hey, you're getting these offers now, but now you're going to get everyone's best. So you got to be on top of your game, focus on your grind. Don't let the moments get too big for you. The other thing I liked about talking with Coach was he talked about how making sure as a high school recruit you're going to the right camps. Yes, everyone wants to go to the Alabamas of the world, but sometimes you want to go to the schools that are already recruiting you hard. It might not be the big school, but they're going to be the school to put you in the right position to play and go throughout your career.
And once again, that was Coach Johnathan Wilson. Thank you for him for taking the time to jump on with Jackson. It's not always Will getting those interviews, so stay tuned for more. We've got some lined up going forward, but time to get to probably one of my, I think, of the show might be my favorite segment. That's the Under the Radar segment, where we show some love to some of these recruits that may be flying under the radar of some of these colleges out there, not maybe getting as many offers as they should for one reason or another. Who knows? Will, I'm going to turn it over to you first. We've had Jackson talking quite a bit here recently. Give us that under the radar recruit this week from you.
Yeah, I hate to even call this guy under the radar because he's been picking up offers the last few weeks. But there's a lot of guys out of Katy Pato that really shined in the playoffs and will continue to shine in the 7-on-7 circuit, and then even more so in the camp series. I mean, these guys are big-bodied. Alex Kilgore at 6'2", 200, plays linebacker. He plays a little bit of everything, outside, inside linebacker. He's got offers from Arkansas State, Prairie View, Rice, SMU, and UTSA. But coaches are coming into that campus every single day. They were a few weeks ago. I'm sure they'll continue to do that. Alex Kilgore, definitely a name to look out for in the next few months.
Jackson, how about you? Give us one under-the-radar recruit.
The kid I have is Oak Ridge running back Frankie Arthur, sorry. Frankie is actually related to Adrian Peterson. He's transferred to Oak Ridge last year from Klein Oak. He's gotten a couple offers, but he's not getting a lot of love. But that Oak Ridge 2024 class with him, you got Justin Williams, who's being really highly recruited. Frankie's just not getting a lot of love right now, and I think he's a guy that you'll see become one of those backs that will start getting his recruitment picking up in years to come.
And once again, that is our Under the Radar segment of this week. Stay tuned each and every week. We'll give you those recruits that, hey, if you're a coach, a college coach, you need to start checking out a little bit more. Any last thoughts as we get out of here for this week, guys? A little shorter show for the week, but hey, that's okay. That's what we do around here. Sometimes we're going to have these hour-long shows. Sometimes they're going to be about 30 minutes. So anything y'all want to do or say or shout out before we get out of here? Jackson, I'll start with you.
Shout out Coach Wilson and Klein Forest. Coach is changing the culture around there. He's changing the program. He's got a really good core couple of players with Jelani Watkins, you've got Brad Spence, you've got Parker Jenkins. Shout out to Coach for coming on the show and just talking with us about his program, talking about the recruiting process, and talking about his kids.
Well, Will, I'll turn it over to you now. Give us that last good shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Ruben Owens Sr., who I got a chance to talk to a little bit earlier on this week. Great guy. Had a chance to meet him about a year ago. Obviously the father of Ruben Owens, who is being recruited by every school in the country. Hopefully we'll get to have him on soon. Shout out to Texas Tech once again. Shout out to Chico Holt from Strake Jesuit picking up a couple offers, maybe our under-the-radar recruit next week. And shout out to all the 7-on-7 teams going to the Shock Doctor tournament this weekend.
That is our show for this week, folks. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next Friday with some more recruit news from across the state of Texas that you must know about. Until then, everyone, we'll see you at the games.